afternoon and welcome. This is Silent Disco, sponsored by Veho. Thanks all for joining us this afternoon, and we're hoping to put on a great presentation and talk for you. I want to thank our participants here, great clients of Veho, Tanner Morley, Jon Agnich. Tanner's from HelloFresh, Jon is from Zazzle. We're going to be hearing a lot about them today. We're so looking forward to a great presentation from you. So our focus right now in the last mile delivery space is all about peak and successfully getting through what's going to be a great peak season for all of our e-commerce clients. But today's presentation, and the goal of today's presentation, is to talk a little bit further in the future about 2026. So we're joined here by our co-founder and CTO, Fred Cook. And we're going to talk a little bit about Veho and then get right into the meat of the presentation. Veho is a last mile parcel delivery service powered by technology, a great platform, and phenomenal clients. And we're going to focus on our clients today. Fred?
Yeah, thanks, Deb. Fred Cook, co-founder, chief technology officer. A little more about Veho. We started the company in 2018 and grew up significantly during the pandemic. Today we're in about 60 markets, coast to coast. We just launched the Los Angeles market a couple of months ago, and in 2026 we'll be launching about 40 more markets and significantly expanding our national footprint. And as we go through today, you'll hear a little bit more about sort of Veho and how we make that work. Our goal generally is provide an incredible customer experience and a super flexible operation that provides that service at an incredible cost for our clients. We'll turn over Tanner if you want to introduce yourself and talk about your role at HelloFresh.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Tanner Morley. I own final mile parcel strategy for all of the U.S. HelloFresh brands. Meal kit delivery is what we grew up with. HelloFresh is a dominant position in meal kit space, but we also have Green Chef, Every Plate in the meal kit brands, and then we have Factor 75 in the ready-to-eat space. You may have also seen Pet's Table or Good Shop are some of our specialty brands, and ultimately getting those deliveries to the doorstep of our customers is my scope and role. I've been with HelloFresh for about 4 years, and prior to that, helped expand the Amazon logistics last mile space for Union Pacific and multimodal. Quite a bit of logistics and strategy prior to that.
Amazing. And Jon, if you want to introduce yourself and talk about Zazzle.
Sure. Jon Agnich, VP Systems and Logistics. We exist to enable anyone to create their own custom products. We do that almost entirely with technology. We consider ourselves a technology company that also makes things. We operate a worldwide network of manufacturers, hundreds of manufacturers shipping every day, which means hundreds of pickup points and everything that goes with it. That's only possible with technology and automation. And we also have an API at all of these places that enables real-time decision-making on logistics and supply chain decisions.
Awesome. So to kick things off, Tanner, HelloFresh, we started working with 4 or 5, I guess probably actually 5 years ago, going on 6 years ago now. And you joined the company, I think, a few months after we originally started working together when probably HelloFresh was a bit smaller. Veho was definitely a lot smaller than we are today. Can you talk a little bit about how you've seen the market evolve since that time, since the relationship started there, and then what you're looking forward to with more changes going into 2026?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I can definitely say that both the meal kit space and food delivery in general, as well as parcel delivery, has changed dramatically. Coming into 2022 was still riding that post-pandemic capacity constraints. Every shipper was trying to find somebody that could deliver boxes. We, as a perishable shipper, really struggled in that time because a box that doesn't deliver within 24 hours of the expected delivery date is discarded. So our customer experience suffered pretty extremely in the pandemic, and then those couple of years right after. So at that time, we were doing everything we could to explore alternate solutions that would meet our customer promise. And we were very, very fortunate early on to find that there was a different way to get parcels delivered that we had more control over. We were able to build a relationship and explain our unique supply chain requirements, and then find solutions. In the couple of years since then, it seems that has continued to grow and expand. I think that the final mile parcel space is one of those that is moving away from traditional processes and paths, and we're moving towards diversification, differentiation, different service offerings, different ways to get parcels delivered. And HelloFresh was very fortunate to jump on that trend early on, and it's been great for our customers.
Thanks, Tanner. That was a great explanation. I love working with your brand because you guys are so innovative on a consistent basis. Bringing that innovation to the meal kit business and the industry is quite important. And we see the strategy that you guys put into play on a consistent basis from a delivery perspective. So it's great working with you. Jon, you and I, however, and you and Veho just started working together just about 6 months ago. So our relationship with Zazzle is not quite as long, but totally interesting. So I'd love to hear what the dynamics were that made you think about Veho as a solution for last mile parcel delivery. And then, tell us a little bit about the launch with Veho, what that experience was like, and how things are going today.
Yeah, sure. I mean, likewise, we came to the table because of market conditions kind of forced us to get creative. And we needed a partner who could be flexible to what we need. For us, it was USPS and their relationship with their consolidators, or lack thereof, left a hole in our portfolio. So we started talking with Veho, and they were able to make a plan that worked for both of us. And the trial was kind of risk-free for our point of view because the costing was there, the service level, we had heard good things. We were pretty confident about it. We implemented from start to finish in 3 weeks. I don't know if you remember that, but
Yeah.
once we signed the contract, we were ready, you were ready, we got everything we needed. Delivering packages after 3 weeks. And since then, 99.1% on-time delivery. And pictures of the deliveries, our customers appreciate that, having the faith and being part of the delivery experience. But we're really happy, looking forward to additional markets. I think that will help us continue to expand the relationship.
It's really been an amazing relationship between the two of our companies. One of the things that I really found valuable in our early engagement was the clarity and the visibility we had to how you all work so that we could be really successful in the onboarding of your clients and of your system. You all take a tech-forward approach as well, and I think that actually helped us, secure a really successful launch. And we're looking forward to expanding with you. So I think it's been great.
So on that note, a thing that we talk a lot about, certainly at Veho, is that a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, or longer, when there were the options were sort of brown or purple or the postal service. There wasn't a whole lot of differentiation there, and I think the rest of the organization that you work with, sort of knew what to expect and probably didn't have very high expectations of what would come there. I think the thing that we've seen since then is, there are a lot of different carriers with a lot of different approaches that create a ripple effect throughout the rest of the organization, right? So I think I'd be curious to hear from each of you. What are you hearing from your counterparts, from your executive team or your CFO or your counterparts on the e-commerce part of the organization? How do they have opinions on, who you're picking for last mile delivery, how you're tracking what success looks like for last mile delivery? Talk about your organizations and what they expect from you in that regard.
Yeah, it's a really great segue, because ultimately I think the expectations are constantly changing and evolving. I think that a lot of the initial hurdle of moving away from some of the more traditional pathways to get a parcel delivered had an education element about the opportunities that existed elsewhere. But now it's really a brand strategy. So it's looking for a way to use the delivery experience as a way to differentiate our product. With a HelloFresh brand specifically, we have a transition in play right now where we're moving a little bit away from a luxury perception of like meal kits are something that you splurge on, more of like a trusted meal partner. And to be able to achieve that, consistency and reliability are super critical. If somebody's planning on a HelloFresh box as their source for family dinner for the week and that box doesn't show up, it ruins every bit of work that we've done from marketing and fulfillment. It's all out the window. So I think that the biggest piece there and what our leadership is looking for is that consistent, reliable, and effective delivery. But then now that there's a bit of a change in the market, they're also looking for differentiation. How does that delivery experience exceed another option? And I think that that's where technology comes into play. The overall delivery experience comes into play. How about customer communication? And that's what we're looking for as we get into 2026.
I think for me, my execs care first and foremost about certainty of delivery. If our product misses your event, it is useless. We can't even take it as a return. So if you tell me a 3 to 5 day delivery window, that means 5 days, right? Because it has to be, I have to know when it is. And some customers will need it in 1 day, some can wait 8, but they need it to arrive when we said it would. So of all the feedback we get from my execs, from our customer support people, that happens, I hear that the most. And then of course cost. Every one of us here is worried about that, even on the carrier side or the supplier side. And the only way in a market where fees and rate hikes are endemic, the only way we have found reliably to overcome that is by having flexibility to use somebody who isn't misbehaving as much on the rates, and to sort of force the hand of sort of arbitrary unilateral changes to relationships. So we've had success with both with Veho. It's an important part of our platform, but most of our technology on the logistics side is really about knowing exactly how certain we are of our promise and then making sure we hit it.
Deb, besides rate misbehavior, what do you hear? You spend a lot of time, obviously, with our clients and e-commerce companies generally. What else are you hearing?
Yeah, I mean, super good points, both by Jon and Tanner. From a client perspective, we hear the frustration with respect to ever-increasing pricing, less clear pricing in terms of trying to achieve a budget and not understanding where surcharges might be coming from, less visibility available to understand what the pricing might mean to you in the future. So all the way around, there's a lot of frustration that we see from the client side on pricing. I think there's a couple of things that both of you said that I'd like to reinforce. Number one, Jon, you said it really well with respect to certainty. We're hearing two things from our clients. We're hearing that speed is important, but certainty is just as important. Meaning get it there quickly, but be sure that you don't miss the promise. And that's one of the things that we pride ourselves on at Veho, is building technology to allow for that certainty. Is building technology that allows the client to know when a package is coming and ensures that our drivers will be super successful delivering those packages. And I think, Tanner, the other thing that you said that I think is so important is flexibility in relationship and working together, understanding each other's business model, and being able to respond to changes rapidly, because your business does change rapidly. So those are some of the things that we hear echoed throughout our client teams. I think the other thing that our clients are starting to see is that for too long, there's been virtually no technology applied to the moment of truth when the package is delivered to the customer. And that's one of the areas where Veho is excelling. And that is the moment of truth when someone gets their package. It's there on time in the place that they'd like it to be and and where they expect it. So meeting those promises are critical to our clients. The only other thing that we're working on right now that I think is also important to mention in this area is that we're starting to help our clients identify the fact that shipping costs are not just reflected in the price per package, but they're reflected in the cost to your client success team when there's calls coming in to look for a package that's missing. They're reflected in the loss of clients when a package delivery isn't successful. So we work very, very hard with our clients to help them understand what the real return on shipping expense is. And that's become a trend that we're starting to find more and more driving success and driving change for our clients.
So on the technology note, and John, we can start with you on this one. Would be curious to hear from you both on a piece of technology or emerging technology from us, from other competitors of ours, or within your own businesses that have had the most impact, right? So technology that you're excited about or that you've seen come across that's high impact.
Sure. I mean, in our business, on the logistics side of things, the two main drivers of value are the routing system, how we choose where to send orders for production, and therefore the logistics costs that implies. And then the actual decision making at the time of shipping, where we do a real-time rate shop and label production based on exactly what we promised the customer to make sure it arrives on time. Both of those are only as capable as the data behind them. And there is a lot of data to sort through to make that correct decision. So that's the technology on my side, but in order to make that work, most of the people I talk to here today, I'm talking to about how can we improve our communication of our technology talking to each other so that without anyone having to step in, we're making correct, optimal decisions on behalf of my makers and myself.
A really good point. And ultimately, I think the technical side, the technology that's driving the overall outcomes for our customers, very similar. It's not as much in the routing side on our front, but we do a lot of managing injections at a very detailed, meticulous level. We're managing the middle mile fleet right to the closest possible spot of injection. So for us, the technology that really is driving step change is the less glamorous. It's not necessarily the things that are customer facing always, but it's the stuff that's happening behind the scenes that is driving that perfect delivery, consistent delivery, and ultimately, like it's to your point, Deb, actually is driving cost benefits. We meticulously measure our attrition rate based on delivery exceptions and things that happen on road. So some of the things that are exciting us the most are the stuff at that point of delivery that's making a more successful delivery experience, whether that's AI-powered point of delivery photo analysis that gives a driver real-time feedback right now to say, hey, this isn't the right address, or this doesn't look like the last 3 successful deliveries that we had at this same spot. It's the things behind the scenes that are telling the driver exactly what they need to know to make it through an apartment complex and get to the right doorstep. So that may be less glamorous, but it's an area where technology has lagged for years. And I think that it's critical, and that's the thing that excites every level of our supply chain, because it's that, it's the culmination of all that work.
I think to dig in on that a bit, Tanner, so you're essentially at a per carrier level or a per market or per zip code level. You're looking at, you have a system that's sort of calculating like the all-in cost of going with the carrier, right? And that's not just the rate from the carrier. You're accounting for, the likelihood of an error. You're accounting for, I think we were talking about the packaging cost, right? That would go there, and different carriers have different sort of time out of refrigeration for your perishable products. It's important, right? And that is all internal HelloFresh systems running that. Is that correct?
That's correct. And it's similar to what John was mentioning as far as like how do we route the box. We are super fortunate that we have a weekly model. So it's a subscription, and we're able to really plan out and assess what is going to be the best most effective way to get this one box delivered to this one customer in a zip code. What we do, we analyze everything from the temperature profile of the delivery zip code to find out how much ice and how much insulation we need to put in the box. We analyze the overall on-time delivery quality of the carriers that have been dropping boxes off there, and then we look at the opportunity cost or what can we expect as far as retention spend if that box doesn't get delivered. So we do run a pretty sophisticated machine learning algorithm behind the scenes that analyzes all the different options, and then it selects the carrier that's going to make the most sense. It drives our cost, but it's also powered by the results of the delivery partners in actuality.
Yeah, I think it's a super interesting observation that for both of you, an internal piece of software, right, that's looking at much more than just sort of the cost of the delivery, right, is making a decision on a continuous basis, essentially, for where to send packages. I think a thesis we had from the very beginning when we started the business was that the customer experience mattered, on-time delivery mattered a great deal as part of that. Meeting the customer promise mattered, and then there's a whole bunch of things on top of that also add cost, right, or remove cost if you do them well or you don't do them well. And so I think it's not a coincidence probably that we are finding success with clients that are able to sort of measure their internal cost of working with a suite of vendors, and are making sort of a holistic decision based on that. You have anything to add there, John?
Yeah, I was just thinking, as you said, I have the directly opposite thing where I have no time to plan at all because I don't even know because every order is unique. And if there's a misprint, it has to start the process over. We really have no idea when something is going to finish being produced, and we don't know what we're going to ship every day. So our technology is really about being able to make new, real-time, intelligent decisions based on whatever chaos actually happens. So I would love to have some of the ability you're having. We haven't even considered that level of decisions on the packaging, because it's the one thing that doesn't change right now. But yeah, it is only possible with technology. There's no way a human could make a smart choice about this.
One point I wanted to reinforce is that the pleasure that we have as a partner for both of you is understanding your businesses enough to be able to respond, provide the flexibility you need, and work within the constraints of each of your business models. I think that's a really important point in the relationship, and I think it's one of the things that helps us continue to make products and continue to build technology that we know will service our clients today and in the future.
Cool. So with that, we've got a few slides I think to run through that will share a little bit more about technology on the Veho side, which we can jump into here. So I think to start, maybe some background for those of you that aren't super familiar with Veho. We for the most part, we operate a marketplace with gig economy drivers that are doing almost all of the deliveries across our metro areas, and that would be literally impossible to operate without a huge technology suite to run that marketplace, to be able to offer routes to drivers, set the pricing on routes to drivers, match the right driver to the right route, be able to dial in the quality on a per package basis and a per route basis, so that we're meeting the customer promise on each of those. And so on our part of the business also, much more internally focused for just how we operate, we're continuously running these optimization functions for how we're building the routes, which packages are going to go around each route. And our goal from the beginning was, if our competitors have sort of the same driver doing the same route every single day, and all of the knowledge is in their head for how to successfully deliver to a place, we need to be able to have, I might deliver to a house one day, John, you might the next, Tanner, you might the next, and all three of us do it to the same degree of quality. And that's impossible without technology, right? And without a huge amount of optimization that goes into being able to do that, and being able to do that really well, and build routes dynamically, and be able to deliver, if you have 20,000 packages in a market on one day and 10,000 the next day, being able to scale up and down and have that flexibility, the technology is key. The second part of our thesis when we started the business was just putting customers in control of their delivery experience will improve the results that you get. And so on day one, when my co-founder and I were delivering packages, we were just using our cell phones to take photos of the package and text it to the customer. Within a couple weeks of doing that and seeing how incredible the feedback was there, we built a system that did that and then built that into our driver mobile app. And today you can see the couple screenshots we have here. So the first is being able to customize the delivery experience for the customer. And so this perfect placement photo on the right side, customers are able to use our mobile app or from the tracking page, click through and take a photo of exactly where they want the package left. A lot of customers, especially for a very important delivery, like something from Zazzle for a wedding or food that they plan to feed their family, they don't want it visible from the street, right? They want it maybe hid behind a column on their porch or something. So they'll take a picture of that. Our driver is shown that when that delivery is happening. The customer has the opportunity to rate that experience and rate the driver there. And it's a marketplace, right? And so there's a feedback loop there where the best drivers stay with Veho and continue to get more routes there. Another here is just driver to customer messaging. So if a driver can't locate the address or has a question about the instructions that are provided, they have the ability to directly message with the customer in a secure way that's monitored by Veho. There's also real-time translation. So we have a lot of drivers and a lot of customers where English is not their primary language, and we found that we can make that a much smoother experience for everyone involved by having the real-time translation. And again, just facilitating communication between our drivers and customers creates a great driver experience. That driver then loves doing deliveries for Veho and comes back and stays with us. And then obviously a great customer experience when the customer receives the package where they want to. A note on that perfect placement that we found here is it's not a highly used feature. I think we're probably I don't know if I know the exact number, but it's on the order of 10% of customers that have ever used this feature. But the customers that have used this feature used it because they needed to, right? Because they had a bad experience the first time around, or they know that they have a difficult address to find and get delivered to. And so they're highly motivated to communicate to Veho what the proper way that they would like that delivery performed is. And what we found is that we deliver a lot of repeat goods. At HelloFresh is a good example where that might be a weekly delivery, right? For years, we're delivering to the same customer. And when they leave this perfect placement photo for us, we found a 90% reduction in missed deliveries for difficult addresses, which is just enormous. And obviously that reduces our cost. It creates a better customer experience and is a huge win. A couple other pieces of technology that we've either built or we're working on. The first is just, once we have certainty of where that is. So for example, if a customer takes that replacement photo, we have a great GPS coordinate for where they want that left. We also collect coordinates from multiple geocoding vendors and from actual deliveries. And once we're certain of where that is, then we will block a driver from even being able to deliver to anywhere outside of a radius there with a geofence. And another feature that we're building here is just preventing drivers from. An example here is making a delivery to a mailbox. Obviously, as a private delivery company, we're not allowed to put packages in mailboxes. But if a driver finds that to be convenient, we can detect that in the photo and instruct the driver what the proper placement should be. That it's not in the mailbox there. A couple other things here are proactive address correction. So again, if somebody put a typo when they filled out the address, I wish that all of our clients did address validation on their checkout page. Not all of them do. And so if we receive a package, we try to proactively get the customer to make a correction there so that we can get that delivery out on time. And as soon as we receive that, the instructions, we do that outreach to the customer. So ideally, we get that correction without a delay in the process. And then customers also have the ability to adjust a pin on a map if the geocode is wrong, if they live in a new development or something. That's another piece of technology, obviously, that reduces cost there. Then, signature proof of delivery is a product that we're preparing to scale in 2026. And then, again, for 2026, sustainability reporting for our shippers has been a huge demand. And a lot of the efficiency that our technology creates allows us to have lower emissions in a lot of cases if we can fill the trucks or if we're using a passenger vehicle instead of a large truck. be more sustainable, and so we want to make sure we're allowing our shippers to take that win. A couple brief things. Jon, you mentioned your system looks at the customer promise date of all the shipping providers that you work with, and is making a decision based on that. We have multiple speeds of delivery available. So our Ground Plus is our fastest, essentially the fastest you can get something from one zip to another on the ground with a ground network. But we also have a deferred speed product where we can hold that package for a day, and by doing that, we get more utilization from our middle mile trucks, and better routing on the last mile. A product that we're partnering to release in Q1 is what we call Deliver by Customer Promise. And so in the example there, there's a couple ways this can work. We can provide you with multiple dates that we can deliver the product and different rates for those. Or alternatively, you can tell us what the promise that was made to the customer was, and so in that scenario, we will just pick essentially the lowest cost way to get that package delivered in the Veho network by that customer promise date, and so the flexibility there is, so Jon, if one of your, I know you have your own system to do this, so you'll probably be a bit ahead of us on this, but for a merchant that doesn't necessarily, if it's delayed in fulfillment. And we get it a day late. The customer promise obviously can't move. We have the opportunity to accelerate that potentially and still get it to meet the customer promise. But if we're able to defer it for a day and provide a reduced cost without missing the customer promise, then still be able to do that. So extremely excited about our orchestration platform, Maestro AI, that we're going to be rolling out through Q1 to make that capability available broadly. And to share a couple more things here, again, just letting clients dial in sort of the cost and the customer experience, or modulate the speed in the customer experience to hit a cost target that they have, there's a suite of features and functionality that we'll be rolling out in Q1 and Q2 that will enable this.
So Tanner and Jon, I know you get to see many, many carriers, and this isn't just to find out how much you love Veho, but we'd love to know, what do you think of these things and how might they influence 2026 for you?
Yeah, there's a lot to digest, and ultimately I think that this is what I was alluding to earlier when we talk about differentiation and how our parcels going to continue to be delivered at a better and better clip. And ultimately, I think from our perspective, some of the things about let's say it might be no surprise, but that final mile experience, that perfect delivery photo, the proactive customer address correction. We have address validation at checkout, and somehow our customers find a way to mess it up anyway. Those types of things, I think, are a fantastic add that really improves the delivery experience and is not being mirrored across the industry.
Or at the very least, not for free. No, I'd agree. I think where we see progress next year is going to be in optimizing the offer I put in front of a customer at checkout to enhance conversion, right? In e-commerce, that's another name of the game. And in order to do that, I need to have the full suite of options that are available to the customer. I don't need to show them everything that will actually drive them away. I need to use my technology to make the right decision for them and help them find it, right? So your AI needs to talk to my AI. They'll have lunch, they'll figure it out, and then...
Jon, just to reinforce that point, we did a study of 1,500 shipping professionals, and their e-commerce partners are consistently looking for a way to improve cart conversions. And they found that offering choice at the time of checkout in terms of delivery speed increases cart conversion by 37%, which goes directly to the cost of acquiring a customer, the cost of keeping a customer, and the value driven by a great delivery experience. So you're 100% on the money.
And obviously we do a lot of A/B testing about exactly what appears in front of the customer on that page, right? If we change a word, we're going to test it because it makes a difference. If they are confused about what an offer is or how certain it is, that can change what they do. And if any of you out there do international, the mere fact of the unpredictability of that is a significant hit on the conversion rate, because we have to say that it's 3 to 5 days or whatever it might be, because we never know what customs is going to do to it, and that hurts. So the degree we can get, any additional information we can get about this, we will absolutely put to use. So yeah, absolutely.
Before we wrap and move to some questions from the audience here, I think the last question is, on the topic of alternative, quote unquote alternative carriers generally, there is this old saying, like, nobody gets fired for choosing IBM, right? There was probably a period where, like, for some folks' organizations, that nobody gets fired for picking, UPS or FedEx. Can you just share a bit about, maybe the choice that you all made, what that looked like within your organization, perhaps? Was there sort of a groundswell to look at other options, or was it spearheaded as from someone within your organization that sort of you felt like you were going out on a limb to make a tough choice here, and for folks in the audience, maybe where like their organization hasn't made the move yet to explore beyond the big three for parcel there. What did that choice look like organizationally?
So, as much as you would like to say that, like, of course, everybody was sold by the numbers, that is just not true. Even in HelloFresh, where we were failing our customers consistently coming out of the pandemic, the comfort of knowing what to expect, even the perception of our customers to blame a big monolithic national brand instead of HelloFresh, that all was a concern. So it was a tougher sell early on than you might expect, and even still, exploring any type of new option is very trepidatious. We take our time and we move slowly, but the benefits are undeniable. So I think that ultimately, like, the driving factor, like, we couldn't just keep paying a premium for a service that was subpar, and that's really what it ends up being at this point. The alternative options that are very simple from a planning perspective and just slap a label, tender a shipment, are not meeting the expectations of our customers. So we're not doing our job as logistics professionals if we don't explain that to our the ultimate decision makers in the organization.
So I actually think I would have been fired for choosing IBM or UPS, FedEx in this case, because cost increases, unilateral cost increases had become unreasonable. And if I had just sat back and let that happen, I probably should have been fired, right? We are a pretty data-driven company. I was able to use the numbers. It was pretty persuasive. In the end, they were happy to simply say, but if it doesn't work, it's your fault. But that comes with the job, right? So yeah, I didn't feel like that big a risk to me, because I knew I would track it carefully and I could stop it if it didn't work. But I don't think you can allow your organization to be close-minded to new options, especially given how the near monopolies have treated customers. I think that's fair to say, and they probably would even agree privately. So, yeah, there was no doubt I was going with somebody else, because somehow it was my fault that DeJoy had canceled its deals with everybody else. It was going to be my fault one way or the other. I might as well go with my best horse.
Well, we're super happy that you chose Veho and that it's working out really well. Thank you both so much. I think we have some minutes for questions from the audience, if anybody has questions for us.
This is the mic, so I need to give the mic box to anybody with any questions.
I might have been a little late and didn't hear it, but are you just in metropolitans, or are you in rural areas as well?
Veho today, we're mostly in major metros. We might have a 50 or 75 mile radius from the center of a city in some cases. We are expanding more into sort of secondary and tertiary cities, as we're growing our business, and we've kind of reached a critical mass, I would say, at this point, where we're doing a significant expansion as we go into next year. We've got another 40 markets that we plan to add. About half of those are West Coast markets. The other half are going to be within our existing coverage area in the Midwest and East Coast and Texas. We will still not cover 100% of the population, and we're not in rural areas just yet. So today accessible largely probably to enterprise brands for the most part that have the ability to work with multiple carriers is still the zone that we operate in. Our ambition is absolutely to be a national carrier, to compete fully and directly with the national carriers and have complete coverage. As you got to grow density, and there's a path that it takes to grow a business to be able to do that. But today we're mostly in primary and secondary markets in the U.S.
Hey, hi everyone. Sorry. You mentioned there's like, you do a lot of contact customers to get their information for deliveries. If I think myself as a customer, I think that's great. But there's a sweet spot on how much invasive that would look like. Where is that sweet spot on that balance on how much or how far do you want to go to not harass the customer in that certain way?
Jon and Tanner, I'd actually love to hear from each of you. I'd be curious, actually, your candid opinion on our customer experience, if we do more or less, or how you think about that strategy.
It is an interesting question because we really want to tightly control that experience ourselves. We do a lot of customer communication that is triggered off of scan events, emails, and such. We do not do SMS right now. And so we get a lot of feedback from customers on over communication or under communication. And we found that the sweet spot for us is about 4 touch points, where it's your package is on the way and this is the address that we're going to try, because it gives them an opportunity to adjust. Hey, we have your package and it's out for delivery. Your package was delivered successfully. And then if there's any feedback or follow-up, us, that is an ideal spot where we see more than that, we get bad feedback. Less than that, and they miss an opportunity to improve.
Same here to a larger extent. Our team is very nervous about somebody else representing our brand. More than we should be, probably. But, Veho reaches out to a customer, they're doing it as Veho. They're not pretending to be me. It's important because if they mess it up, I could just blame Deb. But there really is a diffusion of responsibility for that connection. And they're not being unreasonable about it. If you want your package, you have to tell them the answer. I can't deliver it to nowhere. Some carriers seem to. Our experience is not nearly as long as Tanner's, but so far we have had 0 complaints about too much communication from a carrier. If anything, it's my customer service team receiving more communication than they know what to do with on this was late or something like that. But I'm happy with them being over communicated to.
Just one additional point I would make is that this year we actually have been working with a couple of our clients to allow for an opt-in level of communication where they don't necessarily force the app on the client, but they let their client decide to opt into the app, and we found tremendous success with that. So it's allowing the client to decide what level of engagement they want to bring to the table there.
Yeah, the customer would receive a text message that says something like, hello from Veho. Veho will be performing your Zazzle delivery in 3 days. If you would like to continue to receive notifications from Veho, respond with yes. So that's functionality we've rolled out. We also have a bit of customization that we allow clients to do on the messages that we send. But I do think it's actually, there's an important point there. Ethan and I talked about this from the very beginning in 2018, that when we fail, which I think everybody fails once in a while, right? I mean, we deliver things in the real world, and that's hard, and sometimes we miss the customer expectation. Having a separate brand for the customer to blame, right, is actually important, right? And it's both. I think it's a good alignment of interest that like we do have a brand that we care about. We are comfortable getting blamed when we make a mistake and taking ownership over it and trying to correct that with the customer and taking the heat on that, right? So that one of our brands doesn't need to. And then at the same time, if we do a good job and they trust Veho and they see, I mean, everyone knows who is delivering for them, right? They know if it's going to be, which carrier it's going to be, and they know which of the carriers they trust and do a good job. Then that flows the other way. Then is the goal too. That they might purchase more and have a higher customer lifetime value, perhaps, if they know that they can reliably receive packages from a certain carrier.
I think we're at time. Were there any other final questions?
Another minute and a half or so, if there is one more. But never mind, it's counting up.
Thank
Okay.
you all so much for staying with us today. Hopefully you got a great understanding of these two amazing brands, HelloFresh and Zazzle, and learned a little bit about last mile parcel delivery with Veho. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.